And we're live, and it's Wine Wednesday, and there's like 8 glasses of Painted Rock wine sitting on my desk. So,
That must be a wonderful day. So happy Wine Wednesday, Carl's Wine Club members, Canadian wine lovers, everyone across the country. Welcome, welcome. I mean, we have some fun shows in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. I was looking for that one for a very long time. We haven't featured Painted Rock in a couple years already, maybe 3 years. I mean, I'm the withdrawal. I mean, I miss Painted Rock a lot. And tonight we're going to review the 8 wines that we're putting on the feature starting tomorrow morning. And oh my God, I think, Mira, we've tasted Painted Rock a lot in recent years. 2022, and I can't wait because we're going to talk with John Skinner, the owner at Painted Rock, and I'm dying. The 2022 release is off the freaking chart. Holy smoke. I know I'm not supposed to bang on my desk. I know that, but it's just, yeah, the emotions are
shakes the
taking
camera.
over. How are you doing, Mira Boucher?
Pretty good. How are you, Carl Boucher?
Tasted Painted Rock all day. So it's the first thing I did at 6:15 this morning. It was to start with the Cap Franc. So, I mean, it's an amazing day. It's been raining as hell, but I'm sure all farmers in the Okanagan are very happy to have a little bit of moisture in the topsoil because it's been a snowless winter. So I think all of our grape growers, winery owners are happy to get the soil soaked up a little bit and to get ready for another critical growing season because we had a great one last year. And how great would it be to have 2 good vintages in a row? Hey, how good would that be? So,
I think the wineries need that. I think that would be really good.
no doubt, no doubt. Listen, there's no. Oh, look at that, eh? Yep, these are all Painted Rock. I usually like to start with a little bit of a recap for the previous weeks, from the previous week. But you know what? We've been traveling for hockey. A big, long hockey tournament, 5 days in Edmonton. So, tasting wise, it was very little, but we have to mention that we cracked open the Tractor and Vine's first ever red wine Pinot Noir and the first ever Grenache Rosé from someone who used to make wines at Painted Rock, Daniel Bonterin. I don't know if you remember Daniel. I think Daniel,
You did
yeah,
really?
was there a long time ago. So,
I didn't know that.
so
I
yeah.
had no idea. Okay. Well,
So
this
these
was
was
one
one
of
of
our
my
visits at
highlights
Painted
last
Rock.
weekend.
Wow,
And
yes,
also
it
I
was
had
amazing.
Mira. Oh, go ahead.
I think that's Canada's first Grenache Rosé, which is pretty exciting. But
I
anyway,
think so.
I wanted to show you guys the incredible views and the beautiful property up at Painted Rock because, we're going to have a lovely conversation with John Skinner, the owner of Painted Rock and founder. And it's good to know if you've never been there, it's good to know, what it's like, what you're missing out on if you don't visit.
And this is probably one of the most beautiful winery of the Okanagan, and there's a lot of beautiful wineries around here. But if you put together the view, the building, the wines, and the people, I mean, it has to be at the very top of my list. So yeah, it's always a treat to visit John at the winery. It's always a treat to chat with Lauren, the second generation of Skinner at Painted Rock. And I mean, one thing though, there's nothing that beats the wine, man. Mira, every time we taste Painted Rock, it's always an incredible treat. And what we have in front of us today, it's pretty darn solid. So I can't wait. So should we do you want to add anything? Is there anything like other than we've just put together the itinerary completed for Tuscany 2026, Burgundy 2027, Spain 2027, and Hungary, Romania 2027. So, I mean, pack your luggage to Carl's Wine Club members, Canadian wine lovers.
Only because I'm from there.
We are taking the Canadian wines around the world with you guys, and the itineraries are written, the itineraries are on paper, and it's ready to send all over our membership. See who wants to join us for our international trips coming up. So yeah, that's what's has been taking all of our time. With this and U11 hockey, right? Oh.
Absolutely. So let's bring in John, and then I'm probably gonna duck out just so you guys can see all of us on the screen. But John Skinner, hello. It's great to see you.
It's great
How
to be
are
here.
you?
I'm great.
Thank you.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Looking good, John. It's great to see you. We haven't chatted in a long time, so it's really awesome to have you in.
Well,
we're very excited. Oh, Mira just disappeared, so I think she said we're gonna leave the boys chat, boys things, and I think she's gonna taste your wines in the back. But I just want to say first and foremost, welcome and thank you for being with us, John. Because it's been a couple rough years in the Okanagan. We had a bounce back vintage last year, and I mean, how about this winter? We haven't had a winter in the Okanagan, so can you please let's start about the vineyard on the Skaha bench where you're located, John. How's the vineyard looking? And you guys are ready to open your door and host our beautiful tourists all summer.
Totally are. Yeah. And you're really right. Like 2023 was difficult. 2024 was difficult. We at Painted Rock are exceptionally fortunate that we didn't lose a plant. And the only negative of the whole thing was 2023, we were just fine. It was a good vintage. 2024, we lost all the primary buds. So we didn't have we had secondary and tertiary, so all of our reds still produced, but it wasn't fruit that we wanted to produce the varieties with. So everything in 2024 went in, all the reds went into rosé, and we did a Chardonnay. And if that's the biggest hurdle that we've encountered, we're absolutely staggeringly fortunate. So the one thing that I just want to put it out there to our community, I bribed a nursery in Bordeaux to get the clones that we got way back in the day in 2024. And they've made it illegal to export those clones now.
I know, crazy,
so
eh?
What I will do is I'll propagate them in the fall and make it available to, if wineries approach me, I'm happy to make those, provided the wineries make the commitment to do what I'm prepared to do, is to let's get those are the best clones in the industry. If you can't buy them from France, I want them to come from the Okanagan, and I want it to be at other places. So I'll make, I'll do a pre-pruning and make it available. You buy the rootstock and put it on, and I'll give it to you. So that's the thing that it could be profoundly impactful on our damaged industry, is let's get the best clones out there, and we got some. So anyway,
hey, just like the kitchen, just like any great chef, right? The best foods coming from the best raw ingredients, and I think that's what we're talking about here, right?
It comes from the ground up, and it's the terroir, but it's also, thankfully, I had it wasn't me that made these decisions about what we're going to plant. Valerie Tate, I give her full credit for it. She said, if you are aimed at the prize you said you're aimed at, you need to get these. And that nursery was not going to sell to the guy that normally gets them. And I phoned him up and I just paid him more. And I got him. And there you go. So they are at Painted Rock. They are 23 years old, 22 years old right now. and they're really strong. And when we do a pruning, we either put that material on the dirt or we we give it to friends to put it on rootstock and plant it. So that's a better thing to do.
So, John, I think our people know the story fairly well on how long it take to you and your team to found the property on the Skaha Bench. How about we go quickly over the very beginning, the biggest I think apricot orchard on the Commonwealth, in the Commonwealth,
Yeah,
right under the
yeah, it was.
crown. There was that to start. And please take us on a little trip back in the past. How did you settle on that property with your team? And what I'm very interested to focus on after that, it's the decision to plant the Bordeaux varietals the way that it was, and the Syrah as well, because I have these wines in front of me. That's where we're going right after. And that darn Syrah is freaking spectacular. But also right next to it, it's the Cab Sauv, who also blows my mind. So we need to, we need to, but let's go back to the origin of the project, because you were a young 39 years old when you retired after a very successful career in finance. So let's take us to your second project. How you find your property on the Skaha Bench?
So here's my philosophy in business always is know what you don't know and hire well. Okay, so don't go into something thinking that you have the answers. Go into it with I started Painted Rock hiring really good, smart people to help advise me, and that included Valerie Tate, and who was just fabulous, and she really led that journey and putting together other advisors. And we probably looked at early on. Valerie didn't work for me at the very beginning, but we had looked at I think 34 different projects until we found this one. And when we did, the reason it was available is because there are about 800 stumps on it. It used to be part of the largest apricot orchard in the British Commonwealth, as you mentioned. And so my advisors said, okay, you got two choices. If you're going to do, this is probably the best site in the Okanagan. That's what my advisors said. But you've got two choices. You can bulldoze all these to one end, all the stumps to one end, have a fire, and ruin the property because you're going to homogenize the topsoil into the alluvial silt and you're going to wreck it. Or you can peel the topsoil back, remove the stump, repair the alluvial silt layer, and put the topsoil back and do it 800 times. And that's what we agreed to do. And it took us a year. It said it's going to take you a long time. But during that year, we put a weather station in the middle of the property, and we had sensors everywhere. And the whole idea was we've got a year to do due diligence. So plant every plant for a reason. So if you saw the planting strategy, the Merlot at the very top of the property looking down to the water, the Merlot is at the east side. And then it goes to the south and to the west because that's the coolest part. And Merlot likes it a little cooler. And then you've got Malbec, Petit Verdot. So that's, see up the top? So A, B, can you see where, let's see, A, B, and D? That's Merlot. That's Merlot.
Mira, you're absolutely amazing. I can't freaking believe that you pulled that off right there live. That's fucking fantastic.
I love it. Well done. Thank you. And then M, that's Syrah. Likes it warm. Gets a reflection off. So as the sun goes down after noon, now you have sun coming from above and the reflection off the lake. So you get Merlot, and then you have Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Merlot down in and then K is Cab Sauv, very, very warm. But lo and behold, see the green? When we had those sensors for a year, when we got all the data back, it said it's in that one area, it's like 3 or 4 degrees constantly cooler than everywhere else. We couldn't figure out what the heck it is. And we stood there one day and we realized that just to a little further north of our property is a creek that comes down the mountain. And there's a cold breeze that comes down there. And that just influences that green area, not the Cab Sauv. So that got Chardonnay. And that's been our Chardonnay. Likes it a little cooler.
That's
And
it. That's
oh,
it.
it's so good. So that was a really good year, because if we're going to live with it forever, plant it right. So now we've got 20 whatever we planted in '04. So we planted in '05. So we've got say 21, 22-year-old plants.
John, part of the original team, who were with Valerie Tate, and after that, I mean, you had the soil consultant. You also have someone from Bordeaux. Also,
Alain Sutra. Okay, so the primary. So what happened was I bribed that nursery owner. And that was so. The next year, I'm down in Petit Verdot, and it's we just planted. It was like May or something, maybe April, beginning of April or something. And a gentleman comes up to me and he said, are you John, the owner? And I said, yes. He said, my name is Alain Sutra from Bordeaux. He didn't have an appointment to meet me. He flew from Bordeaux to meet me. He said, I'm friends with the nursery owner that you bribed to get these calls. When the nursery owner phoned me, the minute you hung up on that call, he called me and he said, you should go to the Okanagan, Canada, and meet this guy, because he knew Alain Sutra used to consult to, early on, he was consulting
with Osoyoos La Rose, was he?
with Soyuz Rose. Yeah.
He was with Pascal, with Pascal Madevon.
He was. So he knew he'd been there. He said, you should go to the Okanagan and meet this guy. He's blowing his brains out. That's what he told him. And so I met Alain, and Alain told me his story. And I was, honestly, it gets back to that thing I said before. I hadn't decided on who was going to be a winemaker or who was going to oversee this thing, but that was the best thing that ever happened to us on this journey, out of the blue. It was meant to be. Alain came to me about 2 years ago now, and he said, so he'd worked for me for over 20 years. And he educated, for 18 years, he educated Gabe Reese, who's our winemaker. And he came to me a couple of years ago, and he said, John, you don't need me anymore, because he was flying over 5 or 6 times a year. And I introduced him to Poplar Grove, and he was working for Comina, and he was working for others, but we were his primary customer. And he said, Gabe's worked under him now for 17 or 18 years. And he said, you don't need me anymore. This guy is so good that imagine Gabe's worked with him, and we put him through the University of Washington. Gabe is really well educated. He's exceptionally good. And he's worked side by side with Alain for all these years. And it was Alain that just basically said, you don't need me anymore. And that's where our journey is now. So we've got a young, spectacularly talented, smart guy that is leading the winemaking program.
Is he coming back for blending? Not even for blending or anything?
No. He doesn't.
No, I didn't know that.
No, he's not. He said, you don't need me. No, because Gabe knows it. Like he's, and it's really interesting because since then he's made there've been a couple of strategic decisions that were based on his palate. And I love what he's doing. And the wines are fabulous. And it's not a saving money thing. It's a, hey, John, you don't need me thing. And Gabe is, so we made an investment in Gabe, and we're
paying off.
I couldn't be more proud or appreciative of him. And that's, it gets back to our team. Gabe, or Barry Green, our vineyard managers, worked for me since day one. Like it is about building trust and respect and loyalty. And that's what Painted Rock is all about. And this is a long-term familial enterprise that my daughter is now doing most of the day-to-day stuff by a long shot. I'm at 30,000 feet. And my granddaughter at the age 6 said, hey, Baba, I'm the third generation. That's it. Can you see the signature there?
Look at that. Right. This is on the rosé bottle, and John, that story deserved to be told. Okay. Let's take a minute here. Okay, because we have members who are really big fan of what you guys do. So, John, you founded. You were there in the thick of it. Lauren started to work with you, I would say, at least 10 years ago, and she took more and more and more and more. And let's be honest, John. Here, she's the boss. She
way
is
better.
running the show, but so well. Is such in such an amazing way. I mean, Lauren now is there, but the fun part of it is it's this. Evelina, the third generation of the Skinner at the winery. We need to
I
tell
love
that
it.
story quickly, John.
Okay.
Okay, it's too good.
So yeah. So at age 15, Lauren came up to me and said, "Dad, I'm going to work for the winery." And then she ended up doing she did a degree at UVic, and then she did an MBA in luxury brand management, food and wine in Bordeaux. And she is really, and she's WSET level 3. Like, she really gets it. The next generation is way better. And then last year, Evelina came up to me, and we were up at our house in the Okanagan, and she said, my grandkids call me Bubba, and said, "Hey, Bubba, Mom is the second generation of Painted Rock, isn't she?" And I said she was. It surprised me that a 6-year-old would even understand a generation. And then she said, "So that makes me the third." And I said, "Yeah." And she just a minute. She ran over to her dining room table in our house, and she brought that card with her name written on it. And there you go. She brought that to me, and she said, "Would you please take me over to the winery? I have to be there. I'm the third generation." So that's taped to one of our cash. and I just love it. She's so engaged in it, and she understands. You know, the amazing thing about the wine industry, different than any other industry I've been around or seen, is the familial aspect of it.
Mhm.
Because your familial brand is on everything. So I am aimed, I would cut no corner. So there's never a time when we would overcrop or I remember I was told at the very beginning, Alain told me and my staff, he said, "If the cluster isn't perfect," because I said, "What are they?" He consults to Petrus. I said, "What do they do there?" And he said, "Well, if the cluster isn't perfect, they drop it." Okay. So that's the first thing. So you shouldn't even have a sorting table, because you won't need one. If you drop every imperfect cluster, then your people on the sorting table are going to stand there with their hands in their pockets. And so he came up a couple of days later, and there were a couple of imperfect clusters in when they were doing the sorting. So we went up and talked to the staff again, and he said to my team, he said, "If I see this again, you're going to get fired." And so a couple days later, I came back, and Ravinder Panu, who's running it, he's just a fabulous gentleman. I just love him. And he looks at me, and he shows me. He says, "Hey, John." He throws a cluster over his shoulder, and he would do that. He would do that every year after that, just to show that if the clusters aren't perfect, they're going over the shoulder. and that's it. But it's a mindset. It's a mindset that if you're aimed at perfection, you can't accommodate imperfection. It can't be there. And that's been our journey. And Lauren knows that, and Evelina will know it more than her mom does. That's the fun thing. And so we're really enjoying it.
So that's for the emotional part of the whole story, and which is fantastic. Now let's get to the wines, because there's a few things that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
First and foremost, it's the 2022 vintage.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been tasting Canadian wines, BC wines for I would say like very, very regularly. Starting at vintage 2015 was when like that I go back and forth.
Warm vintage. Yeah.
Yeah, very warm vintage. But we have a wonderful snapshot of 2022 here in front of me, and it's going to be in front of our members tomorrow. I've tasted your wine specifically since 2017 vintage. 2017 was a big vintage for you because you won some big award, like the famous decanter was with your vintage 2017. So that's what really attracted my attention. So I've been tasting your stuff for about, I would say, regularly since 2017. I have a feeling, John, that 2022 is a very special vintage for you. I say that because I'm sitting at the table for now. It's been like 24 hours that I'm sitting with all of those bottles and going back and forth and back and forth. And geez, that 2022 has the balance between the big and power, but also freshness, also lift. And I attempt to say this, it might be your best vintage so far that I have tasted.
You know, that's it. I love that you say that, and you know, it has the one thing. And you'd asked me this earlier, and I didn't speak to it, but it was about our planting strategy, and this gets back to Valerie. But we planted east-west, which is quite unusual. But we have a low row of mountains behind us, and when the sun goes down, there's a cool breeze that sweeps the heat off, and that creates your acidity. And my God, I had one advisor that wanted me to plant north-south, and Valerie wanted east-west. And I decided on east-west with Valerie. And that was the best decision I ever made on this journey so far, was to do that, because our wines are now in Bordeaux. They're at a number of places in Europe, for the simple reason, originally, when I went and did the tasting in Bordeaux, the gentleman didn't want to try my Cabernet Franc, because he said, you know, at this one place, he said, you know, no, you're from wherever, West Coast North America. He thought we were like Napa, warm days, warm nights, ripe, round fruit. And he tasted the Cabernet Franc, and he's been carrying it ever since. It's ripe, bright fruit. And that's from the differentiation between the heat of the day and the cool at night creates the acidity. And so, sorry, but that was absolutely probably the most profoundly impactful decisions that ever happened. And it gets back to having good advisors. My God, I'm so glad we did that.
And one thing that I think that why the Okanagan is getting better and better and better, it's because of these cool nights. This
Yep.
natural acidity that we have in all wines, even like vintage like 21 that we discovered a year ago, more from from everybody, which was like the heat dome, and like there's still freshness because of the cool night. Now
Yep.
2022 had its own challenge. I'm not saying that it was an easy vintage, because everything was late, the spring was cold, spring was late, but when Mother Nature bless you with the long, warm, and dry late summer, you
Oh,
can make freaking outstanding wine. And what I have in front of me is just the snapshot of that.
the perfect description, because we had been in Greece and we got back middle of July, and I walked out in the vineyards, and very candidly, this is the only time I've ever worked in the vineyard, because it was so overgrown. Everything the growth in June, July was staggering, and you couldn't walk down a vineyard row. Everything was just crazy. And I get out there and I couldn't get enough laborers. It was just incredible, so stressful. But lo and behold, then we had this window from then when I got back until middle of November, and it just, everything could hang and
Yeah.
ripen beautifully. And it turned out to be just magical, because I'd never seen nature like that before. When I got back, I'd never ever seen growth. I thought, oh man, this is a monster. But anyway, yeah.
So when the fruit came into the facility, what was Gabriel? Because I mean, like, these fruit came late,
Yeah.
with perfect ripening. You had, I mean, you had everything in front of you. I mean, the Syrah was at the perfect ripeness.
Yeah.
You had your Petit Verdot, the Malbec was like you had everything in the Cab Sauv. Again, like, I mean, like, you went almost all the way into November before harvest, if I'm not
Easily into November, almost to December. Like, honestly,
That's what I meant. Sorry, I meant almost into December.
Yeah, I think we were a few days into December, and
Mhm.
the nice thing about the wine industry and those varieties is they ripen at different. The timing is incredible. The Merlot comes off first, and the Malbec. It's not like they all ripen perfectly at the same time. And Alain taught us something over the years. What you do is when the numbers, and you take the numbers and the whatever scientific readings you're getting. It's a flavor thing then that will decide when you pick the grapes. And what he gets us to do is when the numbers come in right, is to taste a berry and then taste it again in 2 days. And you'll see an evolution of flavor. And then the time that it is the same as it was previously, that when there was no change, is the day you take it off. Boom, like that. And wow, like when now we're working with Earlco and we're really happy with them, and they're a fantastic team, and they have if we need a big team to get a whole lot of Merlot off in a day because the flavor is perfect that day, they send the team. And
That's it.
It is about getting better, and that's something that we've worked with them now for the last few years, and it's making Painted Rock better, because it isn't about let's get it off over 4 days because we've got a crew of 8. No, if we need a crew of 18 really hardworking smart guys, they get them there or whatever. Like our game is getting better.
So when you John, you had the business plan design and all that. I mean, you wanted to focus on Bordeaux varietals, and Red Icon was going to be the flagship wine of the winery, correct?
I'll take it back a step. I was going to do what the site told us we should do. I wasn't going to, and I talked to Valerie about it, and the terroir was going to tell us. So if it was going to be Pinot Noir, it was going to be Pinot Noir. I wanted to make the best wine in the Okanagan.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that was it. That was the decision first. It wasn't me saying what I wanted to do. I want to buy that. No, the site was going to tell us, and that's what we did. And so it was Valerie that said, after that year of due diligence, and we knew the heat units and stuff, she said, so let's do the 5 primary Bordeaux varietals, and then let's do Syrah, and then Chardonnay. And that's what we do. And it just, honestly, they all work. But that gets back to the due diligence phase, and spend more up front than you do in the future. That's the whole thing I'm really happy that I did is make the expensive decisions early and spend more.
Save you money on the long term.
Oh, totally. Like so we planted 2 clones of every variety for complexity. But when Alan saw the choices that Valerie had made with respect to those 2 clones, she knew whoever was working with me really knew her stuff. And that's the first thing he said. He said, when I saw your order, I thought, you guys know what you're doing. And that is not me, because I didn't know one for the other. But when he saw that we had clone 99 and 100 of Syrah, he said, these guys know what they're doing.
So from 22, would you say that there were a varietal? Because I think it happened. It's some years it happened when some years you have some varietals show better than others, right?
Yeah, sure.
So is there 22? Was there something fairly special that you saw from the vineyard in a particular varietal?
That's interesting. I would, if I don't want to. Sorry, Icon, Merlot, Cab Sauv, but the Cabernet Franc is just extraordinary. And that's just, honestly, there's something about just the aromatics and the brightness of it that is it's also a palate thing too. Like, I love the Icon. The Icon is absolutely wonderful. But that wine, that vintage is about it's a game changer. It's a really, really fabulous wine.
I mean, that's the one that I changed my score multiple times since I opened the bottle this morning. No, honestly, honestly, I keep scratching my score every hour and a half when I go back to it. And I'm like, holy shit. No, this thing is evolving. It
does. It's still a young
wine.
Oh,
it sure does.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's the game changer for me. Like and that's what I've recognized. Like I give it a little bit of time, and it's kind of, if I ordered, I don't know what it would be if I bought it in a restaurant or whatever, that wine, it's worth some money. Like, I just love it. It's fabulous to my.
And and I mean, and this is the most elegant wine of the whole lineup, to my opinion. There's the lowest alcohol level on the front in the entire lineup, but
Yeah.
the freshness and the elegance in that wine is just exceptional. Just exceptional.
It's showing something for us, and that's why it's at the #1 restaurant in London, England, the Clove Club, and there's at Le Chapon-Fin. I don't know if it's there now, but it's at some of the top restaurants in Europe because it has the bright acidity and it's coming.
Yeah.
And
well, European don't touch Flabby Cap Franc. They just don't touch it. They're not interested into that.
No interest. And so there are our wines are in Germany and fabulous places, and it's really funny. I did a tasting there were about 5 Michelin star restaurants, and from Germany, it was where was it? It was in Germany. Anyway, 5 Michelin star restaurants, and there were the owners of the restaurants and their sommeliers, and we did an hour-long tasting of all of our wines. And at the end of it, they said, "John, would you leave for 10 minutes and come back?" And I said, "I'd be happy to." And it was in Munich. And so I come back 10 minutes later, and they said, "Okay, we've got a proposal for you." And I said, "What's that?" I said, "We're all going to take one wine. So if we all have one of your wines at 5 different restaurants, they're going to get to know your brand. And it's just going to be good for all of us. And it's a stepping stone." And I said, "And what's that?" He said, "It's going to be your Syrah." And I said, "That's fabulous. Okay, it's great." And they said, "And the other thing," and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Bye-bye, France." That was the German. That was the German. So they're carrying Painted Rock Syrah, not the French Syrah. And that's anyway, it was just fun.
That's a
Nice
fun one. That's a fun one. I want to get back to the red icon for us for a minute
please.
here. I mean, this one is absolutely. I don't give 94 points a lot. This is, to me, that's the rock star level. And by the way, we have 394 in this one lineup here. But the red icon, is there, depending on the vintage? I mean, you guys don't do, it's not a recipe, right? You do every year 45%
No.
like
No.
I mean, this is not how you approach. It's about what's coming out of the vineyard. It's about the barrel selection. Is there also about certain block in the vineyard that you and Gabe and your vineyard manager know that usually these couple rows of Merlot, it's painted, it's more of an icon? What's the thought process as a team to come up with icon?
That's really, really good. It is about making the best wine, and I would say that Gabe has a fabulous palate, and he really, really gets what's going on. So lo and behold, after Alain, Gabe made, I think his standalone first vintage was 2023, then 2024. And lo and behold, 2023, I guess. And he made a decision that Petit Verdot, Malbec, I'm trying to, sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but he made a decision that there's just 4 of the 5 Bordeaux varietals in it. And I said, "Hold on." I remember he told me this. I was up at the tasting room. I said, "Just a second." And I went down and I tasted them side by side. And I phoned Lauren, and she's down in the city. And she said, "I'll be up in a week. Don't make any decisions." Can you see on the back of that? It's not the 2020. How many?
I have the 22. So 22. There's 11% Syrah in the 22.
Yeah, that's right. So these are honestly, it's navigating it, and it's a wonderful process. But we went from that vintage where there's a small amount of Syrah, which is really unusual. It's the only vintage we've done it, I think. And then another.
Oh, that's what I was about. That was my next question. You're right where my next question is. I don't think I've ever, I don't have a recollection that Syrah made it to the icon before.
No, I think it was 1% one time. Ellen did it.
Okay.
But otherwise, but that's comes down to who do you trust? And it's our team. And Gabe's career and reputation is on the table here, and he's making the best wine, and I just love it. So my point before, when we decided to do just the four varietals in that one vintage, I think it's 2023, was that Lauren said, okay, don't do anything until I come up, and she came up a week later, and she tasted that wine, and then we put a little bit of, it was either 3 or 5 or 7% or whatever. We were trying different things, and tried it with one, said no, and it was just, she totally is on board, and she has a really good palate. And anyway, so it's a trust thing, and we're all on this journey to make the best, and
because I'm sure. So this at 49 Merlot, so half Merlot, 16 Sauve, 12 Malbec, 11 Syrah, 9 Petit Verdot, and 3 Cab Franc. So you have the 5 Bordeaux varietals plus the Syrah. So
yeah, but typically we're around, I would say on average, we're around 35% Merlot, 25% Cabernet Franc, and then Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Cab Sauv. So that's was, if I at one point had thought, I remember I was telling people 5 or 8 years ago, I said at some point we're probably going to have a replicatable blend year over year, and then the Okanagan did its thing, and I think, you know what, we're just going to have a really talented team that's going to make the best wine, and let it be what it is. And because the one advantage we have, being 100% estate, and I mean really 100% estate, we don't commingle anything with anybody. We've never bought fruit, sold fruit. We don't, and that's really the journey for us. So if you ever buy anything from Painted Rock, every bit of our effort is in the fruit that comes into that, and we never cut a corner. And if the cluster isn't perfect, it's on the ground, and we're.
And I think John, you go even further than not buying fruit from anyone else, but also with your barrel program, you have a very, very sterile barrel program, which really protect you from issues with VAs, with like all of the with many different things. But you've got that from a very early stage. Someone was really adamant and really took
okay, I'll get into that, because that was one of the main things from Milan Sutra at the very beginning. He said, so now when I met him that time and we walked in the vineyard, that was in 2005. Now we're not going to have fruit until 2007. We're not making wine till then. So we were talking regularly, but he didn't need to be there. So now we finally have fruit. And earlier in that year, he said, so what I want you to do is let's talk about the barrel program. And I said, okay. And he said, the number one problem if you're aimed at the prize you said you're aimed at, and he held me to this. I said, I want to compete with the best wines in the world, but whatever they do at Petrus, I want to do more. Okay? I want to beat them. I'm competitive, and I want us to. So do it. He said, if you're aimed at that prize that you say you are, here's the first challenge. And I said, what's that? And he said, I want you to buy 100% new French oak in the first. So we, in our first vintage, we bought 150 or 200 barrels, $1,350 each. And it is what it is, but he said, because the fruit off young vines are more expressive, so they can handle new oak more than more aged vines, or fruit from more aged vines. So I said, okay. So we bought 100% Seg Amaro, and but because he said the reason for this is two things. We want to pick what Cooper, because the Cooper Sagamore is different than Sori, is different than Sagamore, or different. Anyway, all these different producers have different styles and they impact them differently. So we did that, and he said, but the main thing, and the reason you want to do this, is the number one negative in the wine industry is hygiene, and hygienic flaws are shared through oak. So if you have Brettanomyces and you give a friend your barrels, the barrel is going to take it over to their winery and it's going to infest everywhere, and you're not going to get it out. And that is the number one negative in the industry all over the world, is the sharing of flaws that are shared through the sharing of oak. So he said, gotta promise me, we'll only ever buy new oak, but if you ever use second fill or third fill, it has to be from in your winery. Never let those barrels into your winery, ever. We never have, all these years. So in year 2, we were 50% Sagamore and 50% Sori. And in year 3, we had Demtos. And
so you established your barrel program with the 3 Cooper that you're going to work by buying new in the first 3 years, and you started
bingo.
the rotation.
After 3 years, he said, you've done 25 years barrel due diligence in 3 years. But then he would go on, and we would have those 3, and we knew which clone of which variety, because it might be Sori might go better with one of the clones of Cab, but Sagamore was better with the other, and he did all these things. But then he starts bringing in small amounts of another Cooper to brighten up the Syrah, and so now we probably have a total of 7 Coopers, and we know which goes better with which, and it's been a fabulous journey. It wasn't inexpensive, but honestly, to as he said, you've done 25 years of Cooper due diligence in 3 years. That just cost me a little more money, but man, it fast tracked us to more quality. And that's
absolutely.
You want to get there, just do it. So we did. And so anyway, and now Gabe does that. He gets it. He knows which Cooper goes with what and what percentage of each, and he tweaks it now. So it's really cool.
That is really cool, and I love hearing these kind of stories, because it tells me that your attention to detail is absolutely unparalleled. You do not cut corners in any way, shape, or form.
No room for it. None.
Absolutely not.
And
absolutely not.
Thank you.
And I love that. I mean,
that gets back to my investment in a land, because that's a land's thing. That's why he's as good. It's really interesting, because years later I got into, we did a lot of events at Canada House in London, and I got to know Stephen Spurrier.
They're there right now. Right now.
Yeah, and I needn't go there anymore because I'm going there on mining business soon. But I got to know Jancis really well, and I got to know Stephen Spurrier really. Stephen Spurrier became a very dear friend, and I just love the guy. And anyway, I miss him. Mark Nadeau, I met the leaders of the world wine industry. And
have you seen the book that Mark just released this week?
I just bought it. I was the first buyer of it.
Yeah, you did. I almost went for it, and I left it in my cart. I hope there's some left.
I was the first buyer of it. It's the Stephen Spurrier book. I just honestly, Stephen, I hosted him to the Okanagan for a week about 4 months before his death, and I just loved the guy. He was so generous. He had no idea the currency that he had. And the fact that Stephen would take me into a restaurant in London, and all of a sudden the restaurant's carrying Painted Rock. Well, hello. He just was an ego-free, lovely person. So after he passed, we had a dinner in London, and Jancis was there. And it was to introduce Alain Sutra and our wine, Alain ran our wine program. And there were about 14 people there. And partway through, so I spoke for the first 10 minutes, then Alain gets up and he speaks for about 10 minutes. And 2 minutes into him speaking, Jancis, who was sitting to my left, there's 14 of us around the table, and Jancis is sitting right beside me. And she turns to me and said, "Why have I never heard of this guy before?" And like, he consults to Petrus. And he's not an ego guy. He's not he's not about, he wanted to make the best wine. He knew we were aimed at a high prize, and he wanted to work with me. And I just love the guy. We're the same age. Our kids are the same age. I miss him. I haven't seen him. I talked to him in a while, but
well, that's what happened when you get fired by your consultant.
Exactly. You know what? No, but he got it. And I did what I promised him I would do, and he did what he promised me he would do. And to have the top consultant in the world, Jancis Robinson, say, "Why have I never heard of this guy?" Well, 2 weeks after that dinner, she wrote an article on me and Alain Sutra in the Financial Times in London. And that's
cool.
There's no brand building. You can't take an ad out and do that.
No,
Jancis,
you can't.
She is, she totally gets it. She understood. And do you know what she did? When she told me she was going to do an article, she said, "I met you 10 years ago and you told me what your plan was, but I wanted to wait 10." She waited 10 years to do an article because she wanted to see that we delivered on the promise. It took.
That's awesome.
But then she did an article in the Financial Times in London, and that was a game changer. It's incredibly generous, and that's a fun part of this journey. You can't be in this business.
Hey, John, what's hot right now at Painted Rock? What would you say which varietals are really, and then let's take John Skinner out of it, like you personally, okay? What's the market is calling now? Because I know you're a big fan of Cap Franc. You have a soft spot for the Franc, and the Red Icon is your baby.
Yeah.
But what's us? Because I have an idea, and because I know what, especially people from the eastern part of the country are craving good Syrahs in the last couple years, and it's always something that people like. I'm getting so much demand. Carl Hall's the Syrah from the Okanagan. What's the demand at Painted Rock right now?
I will tell you, and this is just a reality of the industry and the like. Simply, our Red Icon is it's a value proposition, because we don't have layers of cost, because we don't have agents. We have a really fabulous wine club. So the whole idea of our producing that wine, it is the most expensive wine that we produce by a long shot. And we're aimed really highly, but we're able to keep it at a price that is.
And you at $80, right? 70, like $80.
Comparatively, well, I mean, Oculus is $212.
Yeah, $218.
$218, and we're not. And I like those guys. It is what it is. But I want it to be able. I want our wine club to be able to get the best wine we can produce at the best price, and we do go to the living end to make that wine the best. And so, yeah,
Fun enough, and I have to thank you for that, because 22 Icon is not on the market yet. It's not been released yet. Only your wine club had a dib at it, and now Carl's Wine Club is gonna have it tomorrow morning. So and this is a 94 points. The guys at Wine Align absolutely love 22 Icon too, because they gave it, Zabo gave it 95. I think it's Godel gave it a 95 as well. So I mean,
yeah, it's to me, I don't want to be in the price competitive. I want to be price competitive in that it is a really good wine for the value. And I get back, we've got a really this loyalty of a club, and I hallelujah, Lauren, because I was doing all this international stuff. We were in China, we were in, our wines were retailing for $900 a bottle all over China, and it was in the media here. And then we were all over Europe, and that was kind of my world before, when I was in the investment banking business. I was in Europe a lot, and I wanted to go to the places I'm familiar with and get the wines there. And then Lauren came in, and within the first year or two, she looked at me and said, "Dad, we're changing our business plan." And I said, "Sorry?" And she said, if we can do this, and her mindset was so good, It's about
Focus on wine club. When they hire Mira and I
no
as
cost.
consultant
So
in
we
the
don't have
winery,
agents.
it's always our first recommendation. Put your time, money, and effort into your wine club. That is
Totally.
your retirement plan.
100%. So we didn't do that. So we still are exporting smaller amounts to really loyal, fabulous international markets. But our focus really is 100% on the wine club. And our costs didn't go up in the last little while, so our prices didn't go up. And we're just thankful that if we don't have any cost of sales and we're not paying all these layers of agents and all this kind of stuff, we just don't. We just.
I have a funny story, John, and you don't know about that. So we have a few wines who are not been released in that. So I don't have the price. So I called Lauren and I sent her a note. I said, Lauren, the new release that I have what is the new price? She said, what do you mean? What's the new price of the new release? And I asked, is it the same price of the older vintage? Oh, she said, oh, of course it is. So yeah, like no price increase. We keep going at the same rate. Wow, this is
no, and our cost of our labor is higher and stuff, but it is what it is. Our efficiencies are remarkable because we just have a really good, loyal, smart, tight team, and we can rely on everybody. So we're thankful. And I get back to my daughter. It's largely because of her that anyway, it's been fun to have that
other John,
the next generation.
Other than the icon, which painted rock wine do you crack at home?
Oh, interesting.
Do you have do you go by phase? Do you have a favorite? Because I have to say, Cap Sauv have been one of my favorite of yours outside of the icon. Syrah just rated really high. Now, the Cab Syrah absolutely blew my socks off.
Yeah,
absolutely blew my socks off, John. It's the highest rated wine in the whole lineup, even above the icon. John Skinner, what are you drinking when you're popping a bottle of a...
Well, I can't do the Cab Syrah. It's really funny because I can't do the Cab Syrah because we only produce 220 cases of it.
So Lauren doesn't allow you to...
Oh, I get little bits and pieces, but I don't, and I just love it. And it's really funny, that whole thing. That's a journey thing, and that is a passion thing for Alain, because I remember this is many years ago now. It would have been like 2014. We're well into the journey with Alain, and we've got these east-west roads down towards the lake, and that's where the reflection from the lake comes off. But the roads are like 30 feet wide. And we've got this one that's like 120 meters long. And I turned to Alain and I said, Alain, no one ever uses this road. It's steep and stuff. Why don't we just plant it? We ended up planting all of our east-west roads. and I said, what would we put there? And he said, oh, plant some Cab Sauv. So we did 3 rows. They're 7 feet wide between the rows. And we did 3 rows of Cab Sauv. And a few years later, when we had that fruit, I said, now do we mix that with the stuff that was planted in 05? And he said, no, keep it separate. I said, okay, why? He said, well, I do a wine with a number of the wineries in Bordeaux. We never tell anybody about it. And it's not Bordeaux, but in France. And he said, it's a Cab Syrah blend. And generally it's around 75-25 Cab Sauv, 25 Syrah. And he said, but we don't talk about it. And lo and behold, we did it, and it just knocked my socks off. It was so good. And whenever Alain would be in town and he'd go home, he'd always take some of it with him. It's like a quiet little gem. And we'll always make it now. It is, but it's only 220.
I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. Mira, thanks for welcome back. That's nice to see you. I think we have some amazing comments in here. John Lewis from Ontario said he had a side-by-side Sassicaia and Red Icon, and everyone in the room preferred the Red Icon. So
whoa, oh, that's
That's high praise.
That's really,
and both John, Michelle, and Daryl said they've joined your wine club since we started featuring you guys in the club. So that's really cool to see. That's really fantastic.
To me, that community, and I try to, we had lived up in the Okanagan for a long time. I'm going to be up there for probably a few weeks every summer in the tasting room and stuff, and I love meeting people. And wine club members, if generally, I love doing tank tastings or barrel tastings with them, and it's always available. If I'm around, come and do that.
Well, John, we have a few events planned in the summer with our members, so we'll reach out to. And I know that Dawn now took over hospitality. She's an amazing staff too. She's fantastic. I like her a lot. And we'll definitely reach out, see if you're around, and we can have you for something a little special with the members.
I'd really be happy to do it. You know, just give me advance notice, because if I'm happen to be in West Van or Whistler or wherever, I'll get up there. I'd love to do it, because it is a community thing, and it's a team thing, and we're exceptionally appreciative.
That would be great.
Yeah. Mira, what is your favorite wine of the lineup?
Thank you. You know, Syrah Cab Sauv to me is just such a rare thing in Canada, and it's just so well done. So you can see it on my teeth here. But that's one. John, you know which wine I like the most in a lineup, because it kind of like you see the levels, and it's the one that disappears the fastest.
I love it. Oh,
so yeah, that's the Syrah Cab Sauv, because it's so good and it's so rare.
It's really unique.
But the Malbec, oh my gosh, the Malbec, I know
you ready. I know the Malbec hits you right away when I poured you. Yeah, that's a fact. Also, John, I want to mention something, because the rosé, the 2025 is out. 75. I think you had like a really high proportion of Syrah on that one, and I have to say that might be my very favorite rosé that your team made.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Since I have heard that, this is my favorite of all the rosé you made. I absolutely love that.
You know, the team is. This is a very much. We understood this right at the beginning of the LAN. Like, I remember when LAN asked me, he said, "What style of rosé do you like?" When we were going to do our first rosé, and I said, you know, we spent quite a bit of time in the south of France, and I mentioned to him one in particular, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, this is my favorite." And we were so aligned, and lo and behold, because it's bright, it's light, it's not sweet, it's fresh. It can be a 12-month rosé. You can have that at Christmas with prawns, and it's going to be just as good as it is sitting on the patio in the summer. And because I like that bright, fresh, I just don't like sweet rosés. That's it. And so we've been on that journey all along, and Gabe is exactly the same. Lauren is exactly on the same page. We all like the same style.
And now you have the third generation on the back of your rosé bottle. And we know that someone's going to take over at some point. I just want to say, John, thank you. I have a 94 plus with the Syrah Cab Sauv. I have a 94 points with the Red Icon. I have a 94 points with the Cab Sauv. And if I don't stop tasting the Cab Franc, it keeps high, half a point every time I taste it. So might get by 96 by tomorrow morning. I don't know, but there's no wine under 92 points in the whole release. So, John, to my opinion, I think, and I know we're all different, but this is my top Painted Rock release, the 22 that I've tasted, and I'm grateful that you guys let us get into your inner circle once again. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I couldn't be more appreciative of you, Carl and Mira. Like, it's a fun journey, and I appreciate all your efforts, and you're including us in this. It's very, very kind of you.
Thank you, John. And say hi to Lauren.
Oh, I will.
Say hi to Evelina for us.
I love it. Oh, it's one of 4 grandkids. Look out.
Fantastic. Thank you so
Okay.
much, John. You have a lovely evening. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the winery one of these times with
Oh yeah, yeah. I look forward to it.
members.
I'll be up.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
John.
That would be great.
Okay, super.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
then.
much.
Okay,
Take care.
see you.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yes. I mean, look, it's pretty much gone. Last sip.
Mira,
What a great lineup and what a
look,
great
Mira.
story. And something's also got to be said, 20 years ago, what John Skinner did for the Canadian wine industry as a whole is also very important, because it took people like him to say, I believe in this so much that I'm willing to go get Alain Sutre. I'm willing to go get the clones from Bordeaux. I'm willing to invest all this time and effort and passion into this, because he believed that we could do something world class here, and he was one of the first to do that, and really pulled everybody else up with him.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really, really remarkable. Yeah.
Absolutely. He
Hey,
was right down, like he was right there at the beginning with Osoyus Larose and Pascal Malavon. I mean, they were the two, I would say Nota Bene and Black Hills came along around the same time. And I mean, these guys together lift the quality, just like they lift the boat, right? They absolutely kept the standard at the highest level. And John never flinched. Never flinch. And I mean, that's where we're at now. I mean, like that red icon, it's known around the world. And you and me, both of our glass of Syrah Cap Sauv is absolutely empty. Yeah, it's my highest rated wine in the feature. So
amazing. And I think John and Michelle, that's really high praise about the Sassicaia side by side, the red icon and the red icon being more popular than the Sassicaia. I have yet to taste a Sassicaia. I know Carl used to be when Sassicaia did their release, they call him first when he was in Calgary working with his collectors. But I have never tasted a Sassicaia, so I will find this red icon and just.
But we will in October.
Yes. Okay. So you guys need to know something. So Tracy is on here. Daryl's on here reminding us. Tracy scared me for a second. She said, in 2 weeks, we'll be in Paris doing Wine Wednesday. I'm like, 2 weeks? No, in 3 weeks. But in 4 weeks, we'll be in Beaune doing Wine Wednesday from Beaune. I mean, those 2 weeks of Wine Wednesdays, maybe 3 weeks, will be probably recorded, because this timing is something like 2 a.m. in France. But yeah, I want to tease you guys that, we are going international. We are literally taking winemakers and Canadian wines to the most iconic wine regions in the world with members, a small group of members, up to 12 couples. So really small groups. And yes, Burgundy is first, because of course that is the Disneyland of wine lovers. We want a picture kind of like this one, which was Prince Edward County just over a week ago. But in Beaune, in places like this beautiful cellar underground that has, wines going back 50 years on their wine list. And what's that called? Eupha-les-Poises. Yes, it's just so exciting. And yeah, I guess we could share, whoever's still on here, if you want to know where we're going, you are invited. I mean, it's going to be epic. This is all France here, but I mean, look at this. Okay, present. Let's see, share screen. You guys are the first to see this. There's about 100 members that we've been chatting about these trips, and you guys will get an email, hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow morning, with this info that everyone's waiting on. But check this out. So we have the Grand Cru membership that many of you are aware of, they're eyeing. This is new. This is a whole year with Carl, where we actually come and do a tasting with you in your home, wherever you are in Canada or the US. We have Carl's Wine Club members in the States, believe it or not. So we will travel with you are. We will bring the Canadian wines. We will taste Canadian wines in your home with you if you're a Grand Cru member and with all your friends. And Carl is also, many people don't know this, he's a wine appraiser. He went to New York University. He is a wine appraiser. He's worked with TD Insurance and places like that. So he will actually appraise your cellar once a year as well, which is a real perk.
Full
Tons of
retail replacement value, and we'll do purchase strategy, and we will organize the whole darn thing for you.
It sounds fancy, but the purchase strategy is actually kind of fun because you get to think about what's going in your cellar, when do you want to drink what kind of thing, and be a little bit strategic about it so you don't end up with like a ton of bottles that need to be consumed in the next year and then nothing after that, you know. You want everything kind of at its peak at the right time. So but yeah, you just saw Tuscany this fall. We're going back to Burgundy same time next year in June. We're also going to Spain the end of June, early July next year. So I'm going to quiz you on these pictures in a second if you're still on here. And then I insisted, I was like, if we're going to go back, and this is wrong here, this is going to get fixed. It's Hungary and Romania will be in September, late September. But I am from Romania. And in Hungary, they make Tokaj, which is, if you were to bring Canadian wines to an iconic region, it would be ice wine to Tokaj. So that's going to be fun. And my family had vineyards going back 6 generations. I mean, little known fact, my grandpa, who owned hectares and hectares of vineyards, they had the best vineyard in that region. He got murdered for wine. People came in the middle of the night and they robbed the winery. Like they killed him and they robbed the winery. It was crazy. But anyway, all of these great like second cousins and all this are still viticulturists, winemakers. So yeah, lots of great info coming up, and also a VIP wait list for people that want to be on the list when we announce our 2028 trips as well. So lots of exciting things coming up. But the whole idea, guys, is that we have spent 5 years now exploring Canadian wines in Canada. And now what's really exciting is we have found the ones that can stand up to the most iconic wines in the world. We have found Canadian bubblies that you can put in a tasting with champagne, and you never know, the Canadian one might come up on top. It's that good. You know, we found Chardonnays like that. We found Pinot Noirs like that. We found Cab Sauves and Syrahs like that. We found Merlots like that. So we want to take them to the most iconic regions for those varietals, ideally with the winemakers. Right. Wow. So it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I'm going to start sourcing my, find out about my Sangiovese in Canada, especially in the Okanagan, so I can take some in the Chianti with us. And yeah, Nebbiolo, I know only one of, and it's Mouchardre, so we'll see. We'll see for this fall. It's
Daryl's asking that if he joins Grand Cru membership, do we get Mira if Sandy makes macarons and madeleines? I mean, if you make macarons and madeleines, Sandy, I will always show up. I mean, it's just, they're that good. They're amazing. So, and you don't even need to make them. I'll just show up because you're amazing. So, but yes, actually, we've had a lot of fun starting with these in-home tastings and tastings at businesses. So September.
Mira usually comes with me, Daryl. So don't worry, I'm not the only one to show up at your place. Mira comes along as well. She's included in unless something's happened at home and we need the parents with our 3 kids.
I take pictures too, so you have a nice memory of it. We bring placemats and glassware, nice glassware and everything. It's a lot of fun, and it's actually it's not going to last forever because Carl is now, what, 5 events in September like this?
Yep. Yeah, I have 5 events in September. Yeah.
They're all in Quebec.
5 events.
So he didn't ask for Carl. Yeah. Well, if Carl doesn't have to come, I mean, that's just more budget for wine, right? Don't need his plane ticket. So no, we need Carl.
Oh, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. So will be, you know, living in Quebec for a good week and a half in September, doing about 5 of these events with members at businesses and at home. And if you book an international trip with us, like register for one, you can pay a deposit and register by May 20th, which is coming up fast. We started this about a week and a half ago. Some of you already know about it. Some of you we haven't had a chance to email yet because we have been traveling, but that's in a week. So if you sort of commit to one of the trips in the next week with a deposit, you can get this Grand Cru membership for free as a bonus.
You're right. And now Daryl's asking me to shave, and yes, absolutely. That was the hockey tournament beard, I guess, in support of our 9-year-old goalie, who almost got the bronze medal at that big international tournament. But yes, you're right, Daryl. That has to go. I have my face on the screen to like since the beginning. I'm like, oh, they fuck, that's awful. So yes, I'm with you, Daryl.
I think it makes you look distinguished, experienced.
It's good. Like with a glass of Syrah, Syrah Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
I have to say, John was talking about value with the Icon at $79.99, which I don't disagree with him, because that wine is a year in and year out one of the very best wine in Canada. But that Syrah Cap Sauv at $50. That's real fucking value here. Holy smokes. 94 plus point. This wine is a gem. Holy cracky. I love it. And the Syrah's big. The Syrah's big and bold. Super dense, super compact. But really, really, really good too. So, and I have a thing with the Cap Sauv. Like, I mean, it was one of my top 10 wine of the year a couple of years ago, I think, with the 2020 vintage. And this one, I'm back at the 94 points. That Cap Sauv is freaking epic. So yeah, a little bit of my rundown here for the Painted Rock feature.
Very
was
good,
coming up
very good.
in the next 12 hours. But let's say the next 24 hours. By tomorrow lunch, I guess, Painted Rock should be in your inbox.
We'll split the difference. It's tomorrow morning, most likely. So there is a bit of a controversy in the chat about your beard, Carl. Tracy likes it, so Daryl doesn't. So who are you trying to please is I guess the issue. And Daryl's also asking you to wear a beret since we're going to France soon. But
we got the beret. We bought the beret already. We have them.
We do have berets, but I said maybe an Oilers hat because that was the deal. That was the deal.
That was the deal. And I'm not gonna back down. I always pay my dues when it's time for a lost bet, and I did lost that bet with.
Back when they were debating if they should come to Burgundy with us or not, they said, there's one thing that would tip the whole thing into going. It would be if you're willing to wear an Oilers hat, knowing how big of a Flames fan you are. So so we were like, done. Bring the Oilers hat to Burgundy. We will wear it.
Tabarnak.
The kids were very disappointed. It was like we sold farmers.
Oh yeah. My youngest said, are you gonna really do that for real?
Somehow they were like, no, we said a jersey. And we're like, no, a hat. A hat is different than a jersey, okay? Like, careful. I mean, anyway, there is an Oilers. Maybe it'll be a beret. I mean, yeah. And a Habs one, I don't think will be possible because Carl is a Nordiques fan. So
now you guys are pushing.
It's a little too much there with the Habs.
Speaking about that, the little U11 is practicing at 7:45 on a Wednesday. So there's a hockey practice to go tonight.
That's there you go. Especially if you were having lots of wine with it. So
yeah, exactly.
All right.
So Painted Rock.
It was so
Painted Rock coming up. Tuscany. This October 26th, and the 3 1 2 3
quick quiz. Who can tell me where this is? Tell me where the first one is. We're going to all these places. Who can tell me what that is? Okay. This is all Italy, but who can tell me what this is? This happens right near Canada Day. All these people in Spain dress up in white clothing, and then they all take a bottle of red wine and spray it at each other in the streets. It's been happening since the 13th century. And I thought, what the heck? If we bring a group of Canadians down there, it's like our national colors, red and white, and it's right the day before Canada Day. So it's kind of bizarre, but anyway, there's that. Who can tell me where this is? This is pretty cool. Ah, yes, you got it. Tuscany for Daryl. Good job, John. That's Florence.
The wine windows. The wine windows.
We're doing a foodie tour for 4 hours when people arrive in Florence. So we will walk around the city to all the best restaurants, and they'll all have a little like treat for us as we walk by, and a little wine pairing for us, and progressive wine tour of Florence. So yeah, there'll be 1 or 2 stops where they hand you a glass of wine through the medieval window. This one, who knows this one? That's the Douro, I believe, in Spain.
No, Douro's in Portugal. Douro's not in Spain, Mira. Sorry, you just mixed up.
Rioja.
That's it. There you go.
I know nothing about these things, you guys.
That's okay. Hey, we've been doing research together. I know you're getting it. You're getting so close, and you're tasting all of these wines.
I know 2 things. I know the Canadian wines that we'll bring with us. And the other thing I know is I can pick up a language in about 2 weeks. So, and my kids have this, even before Duolingo was invented. I can just watch a bunch of movies, listen to a few things, and I'll be speaking Spanish before you know it. So I'm picking up Italian right now, and French. Technically, I did second, third year university French, so I should be okay in France. But
you're already very okay.
There you go. Great pastries, shitty bread in Florence. They don't put salt in bread. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. But hey, we're there for the wine anyway, so whatever.
I mean, it doesn't affect me too much. Doesn't affect me too much.
Oh yeah, poor Carl is now celiac, so unfortunately. But yeah, so these are the kinds of things we're up to, you guys. So if you're not coming to Burgundy, there is another Burgundy trip next summer, and it is booking now, believe it or not. Deposits are going in now for that. And if you do secure with a deposit by May 20th, we will throw in as a bonus the Grand Cru membership for the year, which is a lot of fun, you guys.
Actually,
we bring the glasses, we bring the wines, we bring the fun, we bring the Carl, and you can invite a bunch of your friends.
Tuscany 2.0, it's pretty exciting, but Spain 1.0, it's pretty exciting too.
Very, very cool. So yeah, these are good things. One thing that I know Carl and I know how to do well is we know how to travel. Because we've traveled with other people and we're like, wow, we're really chill when we travel. So yeah, I think we'll be fun when we travel. Should be good. All right. Well, it was great to see y'all. We're going to get back to the hockey, back to the Painted Rock wines, bringing you these amazing, highly, highly scoring wines for the morning. And, Daryl's in Greece in April 2028. Daryl, I agree.
Smokes.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. What else is in the vicinity? I mean, yeah, that's a really good idea. I don't know anything about Greek wine, though.
Spain is closed. Spain is close to
Greece there. Yeah.
Yep. Little puddle jumper.
There you go.
Okay, well, cheers, everyone. Thank you. I need to go shave. And
are you really gonna shave? Oh no.
It's up to you.
I'm good either way. You should listen to Tracy. Tracy likes it.
There you go. That's it. Okay, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members. Yeah, talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.